episode 5 of the State Strong podcast. This episode, I have a couple, Seth and Emily Britt. Seth, of whom I've known for years and years and years off and on. And if you're not familiar with their names, you may be familiar with a project of theirs, an Airbnb called the BoxHop there in Hocking Hills. So what makes their Airbnb special is it's a container home made of 3 container units. And it's incredible. If you haven't heard about it already, you can look up the BoxHop on Instagram. And I'm going to have links to information on it, including a phenomenal video that they had posted that's just shy of 1 million views at this point right now. But this thing has just exploded. And these two are just super inspirational. I mean, this was something that they came up with, that they, dreamed up and built themselves. And it's done so well, they're already working on finishing up a second one. So just a really cool couple, really cool story. I've already been in talks with Seth. I'm going to be stopping back out sometime soon just to check out the new build and take a look again at the regular BoxHop. And I'm sure I'm going to have these guys back on the podcast at some point. So just really, really amazing couple. Hope you enjoy it. This is episode 5 of the State Strong podcast. Now we're really rolling. Okay. Things are legit. So, okay. So for those of you all that don't know these two, who are you guys?
My name is Seth.
Emily Britt.
So let's see. You and I have talked about this. This is the first time I've met Emily. So this is day one. It's like, hey, we're having company over, and now we're going to get in the living room, abandon the company, and do a quick podcast. So blame Seth.
Yes.
It's his fault.
Yes.
Is everything.
So I was thinking about, and I think we talked about this last time we talked, Seth. When exactly did we meet? Did we meet when Clay brought me to your house or when we played music together?
I think it was when Clay brought you to my house.
I think you're right. So,
and then I saw you through music like a lot after that, off and on.
Yeah. And now you guys have been married how long now?
This year will be 6 years, September 28th.
Wow.
6 years this year.
That's crazy. Did you forget, Emily?
No, I'm surprised he remembered.
It's just like that song. It's been a while.
There it is. Is that what happens when you get a mic in front of you? You just can't help it, can you? So, if you guys don't know it, these two are responsible for the BoxHop out in Hocking County, technically.
Yep.
So why don't you guys kind of do like a minute elevator pitch on what the BoxHop is?
Go, Emily, go.
Okay. The BoxHop is kind of a dream that Seth has had since college. So ironic that he's making me talk about it. But yeah, we really enjoyed investing in the real estate market and adventures, and one thing led to another with the way things are going, that we found land in Hocking, and it just happened to be the right time. And so we built this shipping container home out of 3 shipping containers on our land that's 18 and a half acres. And the goal was for a place for us to get away with our family. We love going to Hocking Hills. We've done it for years with our families and friends. It's just so close to home in Columbus and our surrounding areas of Columbus where we grew up. So we both were familiar with it. One of our favorite places to escape. So we knew that that was where we would eventually want to have a getaway. And we just took on this dream for the shipping containers and just went for it. And yeah, we really want to focus on like a modern take of Hocking Hills, because a lot of what is in Hocking Hills is rustic and very unique, and in the sense of like, an Appalachian feel. And we wanted to keep a little bit of that, but also like have a modern, newer, fresher look to the accommodations that could be in Hocking Hills. So that's kind of what we created and dreamt up, and here we are.
So it was 8 months, April to December of 2018. I was working full time. We've got 3 more kids. Emery is here with us.
Yeah, this is Emery.
No, we have 2 more.
2 more kids. So, total of 3. Sometimes it feels like 4. So 8 months, I was going down there after work every weekend from April to December, and we finished it in December. It was designed as a family getaway with a rental occasionally, and we're still getting away when we can. But it's picked up a lot more traction than we thought it would, so we're very humbled and excited for that.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Like, you guys built it originally like for a getaway for you guys, and now it's like it's booked for the whole year basically, right?
And almost every weekend in 2020, which we opened up 7 days ago.
Gosh, that's just
Crazy.
and that's like, because I've known Seth now. I mean, you were a teenager when I met you. I'm not that much older. I just want you guys to know, like, I'm.
Still feel like a teenager.
Yeah, well, there you go. And maybe act like one sometimes too. It depends on who I ask, right? Yeah. So let's talk about your guys' backgrounds. Like, so what do you guys do like professionally, as far as like what field of work are you in?
I'll start. So right now, and for the last 8 years, I work in manufacturing. Mm. It's the 4th largest privately owned company in North America. I'm a logistics ops manager, so I oversee inbound, outbound logistics. Handful of people. It didn't start out that way, right? So I started out with like really little to no responsibility 8 years ago, and then over the last couple of years, just kind of kept plugging along. Mm. The first date I had with Emily was on, I think, a Thursday.
Oh, things are getting juicy now.
Then on Friday, I closed on the duplex that I still own on the east side of Columbus in Old Town East.
Really?
So there's a duplex I bought when I was 22. 22? Mm-hmm. 22. I bought a duplex in Old Town East, and then Emily, while we were dating, we fixed it up. And then when we got engaged, and right before, I think it was 2 months before we got married, we bought a house on the west side of Columbus that was a HUD home. It was empty for 3 years. And so growing up, I helped my dad on different projects. We turned a church in Jackson County. It was a dome, geodesic dome. I was like 13, 14. We turned that into a house. It was a church. So putting up walls, drywall, everything. We did that when I was a lot younger. And then I moved out when I was 16. And with some friends to Columbus. My parents bought a hotel in Chillicothe, so more renovating, remodeling. So I had not a lot of experience, but enough to feel very overly confident and dangerous when I get like a hammer and a couple, screws and a drill and inside a home. So we bought a HUD home that was empty for 3 years. That was in 2013. We flipped it and sold it and ended up here a couple years later. And then after we got this house the way we wanted it, we were trying to figure out what to do next. So for me, I work in manufacturing. I do that 40 to 50, probably 50 hours a week. To me, the most important thing is like being a good dad, being a good husband, being a good son and follower, more importantly. But then obviously being a good dad and husband. To me, it's hard because I'm selfish and a lot of things I need to work on by nature. So I'm reminded of that. She doesn't remind me of that. I think Emily's very sweet, but constantly I remind myself of that, I guess. So then on the side, we built the BoxHop.
Well, and that's cool because I didn't realize. So you guys were dating before. Is it like you got the complex before you got married? So you knew that he had this big project that he was working on then. So what were you thinking when it's like, I'm seeing this guy that I'm looking at marrying and he's already investing this money and doing all this?
Yeah, it's actually really cool. And I guess I grew up with a family and a dad that just was very handy as well and would go for things. And so it felt really like home. It didn't feel like something super foreign. And no, and it was actually like a really cool thing to see that somebody so young would be buying a house and thinking of it in terms of investing. And it's a duplex, so he and his sister could live on one half and then rent out the other half. And I was like, whoa, that's brilliant at your age to think so financially,
You're brilliant, Seth.
Keep going. This is going great.
So no, it was actually really encouraging to see that he had a bigger vision and passion for being like sustainable and for smart investing. And it was all good stuff. And I knew he wasn't going to be afraid of taking chances on things, and it was going to be fun. So
No, and that's cool because I know, when people get married, they think about all kinds of different things. And, one thing that I think people think about is the stability of it. But that's cool because one thing that you guys kind of seen each other is you're willing to take calculated risks.
yeah.
Obviously with, a benefit in mind. But that's very cool. So what's your background in then?
So I went to school at Miami of Ohio for 3 years, and my degree was, I bounced around from business to pre-vet, and I grew up showing quarter horses, so I was like, I want to be a vet and show horses and have a farm. And after I graduated, I transferred. I was kind of behind from switching majors, and I wanted to be home in Columbus or near family through the summer instead of in Oxford, so far away. So I took classes at Ohio State, and they were on quarters. Miami was on semesters at the time. So the transferring and the schedules were very difficult. So I decided to just stick it out, finish at Ohio State for my last bit of schooling. And I graduated with a degree in zoology and went to Colorado for 6 months and took a biochemistry course and was like, I'm going to be a vet, going to go apply for vet school. I worked at a local vet in Granville, Ohio. When I came back, I still had that job. And then shortly after I met Seth, and it was like, hey, nice to meet you, but I'm going to move to Colorado. And he was like, we'll see about that.
We'll see.
And somehow he won. And I'm very glad. It was a really like a God thing that we met and when we did. And so I stayed by. We started our family. We decided I could have still done vet school, of course, but we were weighing out, again, like what direction we were going to go with our lives, with where we put our money towards and what kind of debt we wanted to get into and how many kids and when we're going to have kids. And so we got the ball rolling and had kids and kept this investing thing on our minds and hearts, and, flipped our home as soon as we had our daughter. We bought it right when we got married. We're in the process of flipping that home when we had our first child.
So we were married in September, pregnant in February.
Yeah, very quick. And so we just took the reins of that route and have had so much fun with it. And then this past year, in 2018, I guess it's been a whole year and a couple months now, I've gotten my real estate license. So I'm a realtor, and that's just further propelled us on our journey for investing and what that looks like for us.
No, that's, what I think's interesting is when you guys met, like you had your life figured out for the most part. And then, give or take as well as you can in your early 20s, right?
Yeah.
So, I always joke with early 20-year-olds and say, hey, listen, buddy, your frontal lobe isn't even done developing. Like, you're still figuring out how to even think properly. So, but that's cool because you thought you had this trajectory figured out. And when you two met, how much it all changed. So you said the BoxHop was kind of your original idea. So how do you guys even begin? And I don't want to give away the whole thing, obviously, because this has been something that, you guys have worked through, and I've gotten the chance to go there, and it's like, it is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Like, I've been tripping out. When I saw that you guys were making it, and I even knew Seth, I was like, this is amazing. But then when I saw that you guys had it booked out so quickly, I was like, wow, that is just like, I was excited like I owned it, and I didn't even own it. So, but how do you even get the logistics together to do something like that, especially in such a rural area?
Google.
No, well, and gosh, I'm gonna interrupt you because we were actually talking about that on our drive, one of our drives from somewhere recently, about kind of our worlds coming together, because where Seth, he had originally had that vision. I've always loved the real estate part, and somewhere in my mind we met, we get married, we both enjoy it, love it. And the journey it's been. And then when it came to actually like physically doing the build, my father owns a construction company, Enviro Construction. And so he has all the big equipment to do the heavy lifting type of work. and he was able to commit to being able to put in our driveway for us and to lifting the boxes into place, and tons of help when it came to that end. And then on Seth's end, of course, like his family is great at all trades when it comes to drywalling and painting and any work. His dad could do anything. His mom's great at just picking up anything and jumping right in, as well as siblings. Like, we both come from large families, so all of our siblings are great at that. And then, you know, with our connections, I feel like between church and work and our community, everything that we have going, we just know so many people, and we constantly talk about how blessed we are with that. So if we needed somebody with marketing and designing our logo and our avenue that we're taking for that, we have a friend that does it. Photography, have somebody that does that. When we needed a welder to weld all of the holes, the cutouts for the windows, from neighbors growing up in Chillicothe, professional metal fabricator that could do all of that for us. And I mean, the list goes on with like everything that you would think when you are when you're putting this project together and somebody's telling you have all these things to do. Like, well, what do you do about this? What do you do about that? It was kind of easy for us because of the network we had to say like, oh, great, we can ask Tim about that, or we can ask, you know, so-and-so about that. And we just had a book of people that have in the community that are just talented and have all come around us. And I don't know many people that can say they just have like professional metal fabricator that they grew up knowing, and somebody that runs excavating equipment.
Oh yeah. Well,
So-
and do you feel like it's just been a combination of the people you guys grew up around and the community you're in, or was it just, do you feel like it was maintaining relationships? Because like you said, like that you guys wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for that. Like all the people you've known. Your kid's escaping out the front door.
He'll be all right. He directs traffic.
Oh, perfect.
That's not funny. I think between our families and the way we grew up and the culture we were in our families, it was, we're just very social people, and we've made so many great friends over the years and kept in touch. And
To me, I don't think the planets could have aligned any better, if that makes sense. It sounds silly, but we've been talking about it quite a bit. He'll be all right. So, like, just the fact that, like, her dad does what he does, and my family does what they do, and even more, like, I mean, I met Emily at a birthday party. It was Ramsey, who has the twin girls whom you just met. Met her at Ramsey's birthday party.
That's how you guys met, was at a birthday party.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was at a bar. Dun, dun, dun.
Ah.
So I met her on a Saturday. At a
You know,
birthday
I met
party.
my wife at a bar.
And then Sunday I saw her at church. And I was playing guitar at church. And I was like, man, first of all, she's the prettiest girl I've ever seen. She had boots on. She looked a little taller than me, so I was slightly turned off just because she was taller than me. But it turns out I've got like 2.5 inches, maybe? I'm a little taller than her. But yeah, initial concern for her being taller than me. So then once I realized she wasn't, everything was perfect. That was good. We went from there. But the fact that like all that lined up and to marry someone and be with someone that's like equally, not necessarily as ambitious, but just dreams the same way you do. Because different people dream about different things. I've got a lot of friends that dream about different things. And so the fact that we dream about the same things and our goals are the same things and our priorities and, you know, our relationship, it works really, really well. It takes a lot of talking, at least, especially since I still work in an industry that's pretty consuming. It takes a lot of talking to make sure we stay aligned. Not in a bad way, but just to make sure that, like, my agenda and what I'm working on, I stay on what I'm supposed to be. But
But you guys are married and you're basically business partners, so like that's like a big deal. Yeah. So what do you feel like, to kind of put a bow on this thing, what do you feel like you guys have gained from this whole experience? Obviously, other than just the BoxHop itself, but just as a couple going through getting it together and built and now seeing the success of it.
I'll take this one. I think we stepped into it, and I've told her this before. Like, you don't just immediately run a marathon, right? you do a 5K and then you do more and you do more and you do more. So when I think about the day before I met Emily, we went on a date the next day. I signed papers to buy like my first property and I was 22. And we worked on that together. And that was pretty easy. Like I call that lipstick on a pig. You throw some paint on it, you pretty it up, and now it's good. And it's still good. It's doing, it looks nice. It's a nice property on the east side. So we did that together, and then we bought our next house, which was a big project. Ripped the carpet out. We were just married. We had slippers on. We would wear slippers as soon as we got out of bed because it was plywood floors, and we thought we got all the staples, and it turns out every now and then you realize you didn't.
Gosh.
So that was the next project. So it was like you go from an easy project to a harder project to a harder project. The house we're in now, that was 6 weeks of solid work on my end with some help from some friends. Redo the floors, take out some walls, all new kitchen, all new everything on that end. So we did that project. It just kept getting bigger. I think after this one we were looking for something, and then we're like, I've learned how to balance things, and it's been through easy projects. Like a bathroom remodel in our last house, I learned, like, Seth, you can't work from 6 a.m. till midnight for 4 days in a row. You turn into a really bad person because you're tired, you're grumpy, it just doesn't go well. So I've learned how to do things and how to balance things, and we've learned how to communicate, not just transactionally, like, hey, tell me this, I need this, do this, but how are you? Because I haven't seen you in the last 16 hours, and I'm about to pass out because I'm exhausted. How are you? So I think we've learned each project has stretched us, and it's been hard. I think of the duplex when we were dating, that was hard. And now the BoxHop, to me, it was equally as hard, but it was a very, very different and a lot larger project, but we phased into it. And that's been good. And to think about doing something else or building something else, which is on the horizon, we're like, we know what it takes. So we're anxious, excited, and I'm a little.
I mean, it must not have rubbed you guys the wrong way with each other enough to where you're like, I want to do more projects together. So apparently, overall, it must have been pretty good.
I would build a rocket to the moon with this girl.
If you would have asked me in like December when it was finishing up, I said, we're going to need a big break. And then we get like 2 months of rest. And then it was like, okay, I guess we could do that again.
We had a launch party December 8th at the BoxHop, like the first time we invited people to come see it. And I remember there was like, we had a toast and everyone's in the living room. And Emily's like, thank you, being really sweet and considerate. She's like, Seth, do you have anything to say? Like, let's build another one. Let's go. No.
You weren't feeling it then.
Not
Shaking
then.
her head.
No.
But 2 months later.
Yeah, we got a little
Let's go.
rest.
Well, and I know, talking to Seth, like when we were at the BoxHop, like you guys kind of had like, all right, it's got to do this by this point, or we're gonna have to figure something else out. And I think that's like, it's amazing, knowing, it obviously was a risk, but now seeing how successful it's been. I mean, guys, it's fantastic. I mean, I'm just so privileged to know, Seth, and knowing that you guys have done it, and just excited to see, what you guys have coming up. So if people want to find you guys on social media, where do they need to go?
The BoxHop. If you Google that, you should be good. I haven't Googled.
No.
Okay, so if
I
you
think so now.
if you go Instagram, the handle is just at the BoxHop, and then our website is theboxhop.com. We do have a Facebook page. It's not got a lot of attention to it yet, mainly on my part, just between having our baby in January and all of the bookings that have been awesome, and getting life together and on its feet. We haven't really put the Facebook on the forefront, so most of our social media is Instagram. Facebook will be getting there, and then the website, of course, can link you up to our Airbnb. If you don't want to search for it directly from Airbnb, you can go to our website and click book your stay.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for letting me just come invade your house and make you guys late to your own party in your own house. But it's cool. Good. So thanks again, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah. And that's a wrap. One thing I forgot to mention is how crazy this episode was. It's a little shorter episode, and it's so hard to kind of nail them down right now because they're so busy. So this was a Monday evening of which they were doing a community gathering at their house with a bunch of their neighborhood. And so we had people coming in and out the whole time. One of their kids, as you could see and hear, was in the room and almost bounced out the front door. So, but we made it work, and it was a lot of fun. So, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, share, comment, whatever you need to do to get the word out. We appreciate it. And until next time, this is Marty Jacobs at the State Strong Podcast.